Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. As major stories for the day, Pope Francis passing on Easter Monday at the age of 88 sparks widespread mourning within the Catholic community. Cardinal Kevin Farrell confirms the Pope's death at the Vatican's Casa Santa Marta. In Cameroon, Catholic clergy and authorities are sharing their reactions to this significant loss. Away from that, a planned gathering of 100,000 youths to support President Buea in the Far North region has been criticized for its extravagant budget of over 1 billion francs CFA amid widespread poverty and hardship in the area. Youth leaders in Cameroon are condemning the act, calling it irresponsible and shameful. Those are top stories for tonight. Stay with us for greater details. Once more, good evening and thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. It is with profound sadness that Cardinal Kevin Farrell Camelengo of the Holy Roman Catholic Church officially announced the passing of Pope Francis on Easter Monday, April 21st, 2025 at the age of 88 at the Casa Santa Marta in the Vatican. Let's take a listen to Cardinal Kevin Farrell Camelengo in this excerpt.
Carissimi fratelli e sorelle, con profondo dolore devo annunciare la morte del nostro Santo Padre Francesco. Alle ore 7:35 di questa mattina, il Vescovo di Roma Francesco è tornato alla casa del Padre. La sua vita tutta intera è stata dedicata al servizio del Signore e della sua Chiesa. Ci ha insegnato a vivere i valori del Vangelo con fedeltà, coraggio e amore universali, in modo particolare a favore dei più poveri ed emarginati. Con immensa gratitudine per il suo esempio di vero discepolo del Signore Gesù, raccomandiamo l'anima del Papa Francesco all'infinito amore misericordioso di Dio uno e trino. Grazie.
Cardinal Kevin Farrell officially announcing the death of Pope Francis at the age of 88. Still in the same story, the Catholic community of Douala Archdiocese had been sad since today morning following the death of Pope Francis. The Holy Father has been sick of bronchitis for some time now. He made his last public outing at the St. Peter's Square during Easter Mass. Annabella was at the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral to get the reaction of His Grace Samuel Clayder and Archbishop of Douala and other priests. Her report.
Paul Cathedral in Douala early Monday morning, there was this unusual silence. The Pope is dead. The Holy See Press Office announced the passing into glory of the Holy Father Pope Francis. Here, the Catholic community received the news with a heavy heart.
Ce matin, je crois que c'est une personne qui m'a téléphoné pour m'annoncer la triste nouvelle.
Reacting to the passing away of the Pope, His Grace Samuel Clayder says his first reaction is to say a word of prayer for the Holy Father.
Première réaction, c'est d'abord de me mettre en prière.
According to the Archbishop, Jose Bergoglio turned Pope Francis was a humble servant of Jesus Christ whose papacy was built on humility and closeness to the poor.
Surtout, je sais cet aspect, l'humilité, un pape si proche des pauvres. Un pape qui renonce à tout.
Pope Francis, according to him, lived a Christ-like life and was an extraordinary human being.
Comme personne, c'est un homme extraordinaire, un homme proche de tout le monde, un homme proche de pauvres.
Other reactions from prelates such as Reverend Father Etienne Bakaba of the Cathedral, he described the Pope as a highly spiritual priest, reason he left on the day of the resurrection that was on Easter Sunday.
For us Christians, it is a sign of resurrection. We hope that he rests in the hands of his Father in heaven. So we are called to pray for him.
For Reverend Father Gustave Mohomier, Christians are still in shock following what can be described as the sudden demise of Pope Francis.
We had the sad news this morning after the morning mass at the cathedral, and it is a shock because we saw him yesterday blessing the benediction Urbi and Orbi.
Some Catholic Christians were filled with hope after watching Pope Francis come in with the Christians on Easter Sunday at St. Peter's Square in Rome.
C'est avec une certaine peine et beaucoup d'affliction qu'on a appris ce matin autour de 9h le rappel à Dieu du Saint-Père. Surtout que hier, nous avons suivi la messe en direct.
Their hope was dashed upon the announcement of the death of the Holy Father Pope Francis early Monday morning. Here at the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral, the Christian community is somehow sad following the announcement of the passing away of the Holy Father Pope Francis that was earlier today. Pope Francis, whom the Christians watched yesterday, that was on Easter Sunday, celebrating Mass. So he gave them some hope. Today they are hopeless somehow as the Pope has given up. He has left this world. And as the Archbishop of the Douala Archdiocese, His Grace Samuel Kleda, said a while ago, Pope Francis is remembered for his humility and for his closeness towards the poor. Reporting live from the St. Peter and Paul's Cathedral after the announcement of the death of Pope Francis, I am Anna Bilalike Teofichunke for Equinoxe Television.
And the same vein, Catholic faithful in Buea, that is a chieftain of the southwest region, expressed a mix of sadness and hope following the passing of Pope Francis on Easter Monday. Bishop Michael Bibi described the late Pope as a warm-hearted servant who dedicated himself to serving the church and humanity. Rex Afon compiled their reactions in the following report.
Has been considered to be a glorious exit by some Catholic faithful in the Buea diocese.
That's a man of God. Because you see, a day after Easter, that means he's going together with Christ. That means he's a real true man of God. Because it is not everybody that can die in that way. After attending the Mass at the cathedral, and then he went to his room, and then he just gave up.
Through the leadership of the diocese, the fallen Vicar of Christ was a good example for all those pastoring the flock today.
And there's no doubt that Pope Francis has always ensured that in the church we have leaders, whether it's encouraging vocations to the religious life, to the priesthood, whether it's providing bishops for churches that are in need of a local ordinary. I think he has had that pastoral solicitude. And as a great pastor, we'll miss him in the church, but at the same time we also pray and we hope that God will inspire the College of Cardinals during their conclave for the election of a new Pope.
Measures have already been taken in alignment with the canons of the Church to mark the passing of the Pontiff throughout the Diocese of Buea.
This morning already, once I got the information, once I got the news about the passing away of the Pope, immediately I instructed my Chancellor and my Secretary to send information to the whole diocese that at 10 a.m. the bells of the church all over the diocese should be ringing. So within this period, there is a prayer that the church recommends that when a Supreme Pontiff passes away, the church should say that prayer.
Appeals have been made to Catholic families in Buea and beyond to pray for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88.
And the wake of Pope Francis passing on Easter Monday, April 22nd, 2025, many are reflecting on his life and legacy. Our reporter Malaglory shares some key facts about the late pontiff, shedding light on who he was and his impact. Her report.
All this waking up to the news of the death of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88. He is the head of the Roman Catholic Church and the Bishop of Rome, leading the world's largest Christian faith and morality for over 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. The Pope lives in the Vatican City, the smallest independent state in the world, surrounded by the Italian capital, Rome. The son of an Italian immigrant father and an Italian Argentine mother, Pope Francis was the eldest of 5 children. Ordained as a Jesuit priest in 1969, he quickly rose through the ranks, becoming head of the Society of Jesus in Argentina and Uruguay by the age of 36, a position he held from 1973 to 1979. In 1992, Pope John Paul II appointed him as bishop, and 6 years later, he became the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. Francis remained known for his simplicity and pastoral sensitivity, often choosing public transportation over private cars and residing in modest accommodations instead of the luxurious bishop's residence. Pope Francis' background as a man of the people shaped his tenure as pontiff. He consistently emphasized compassion and social justice, while also championing environmental stewardship and advocating for the poor. Pope Francis made history in 2013 when he was elected as the 266th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI. His tenure was marked by a commitment to humility and service, values that will come to define his papacy. Pope Francis, 88 years on earth, inspired millions across the globe. He headed the Catholic Church as Pope for 12 years. He made his last public appearance on Easter Sunday, a day before his death, to bless thousands of people in St. Peter's Square, drawing wild cheers and applause.
And may his gentle soul rest in peace. In other news, 2 persons have died after a fight over land in a locality known as Kangnam in Kutaba in the west region of Cameroon. Ayuba was stabbed to death by Ndam Dauda in the course of the fight that erupted. In retaliation, the people of Kangnam murdered Ndam Dauda and later set ablaze his residence. During a funeral ceremony in Kangnam village to lay Ayuba to rest, the divisional officer for Kutaba and Ta'abetran called for unity amongst the natives of Kangnam. Smajikan Gabriel tells us more.
The corpse of Mbuombo Ayuba, aka Makanaki, taken away to be buried after a brief funeral ceremony that took place in Kangnam village in the presence of administrative authorities of Kutaba. Makanaki was stabbed to death by a man nicknamed Prophet over a land problem in Kangnam village.
We leave violence because it's no good. We have to be and to work. This year is very sensible here because of election. We have to take care.
Inhabitants of Kanam village say land issues in the village are now very sensitive. Immediately there is a land problem, the authorities should rapidly intervene, without which it will degenerate. We are in total insecurity here in Kanam, and we need a gendarmerie brigade because we have a large population. Apart from the death of 2 men, the residence of Prophet was also set ablaze. During the funeral ceremony in Kanam village, the divisional officer of Kutaba told the natives of the village to be each other's keeper. If the state sends administrative and judicial authorities, forces of law and order, is for you to live in peace. But if it's not the case, what is our use here? The state has sent us here to make life easier for you all. The mayor of Kutaba left this message to the people of Kanam village.
We give the message, population, from now we live violence and we live in peace. We want durable peace in Cameroon and in our village, in our council.
The demise of Mbua Ayoba, aka Makanaki, and Prophet has once again brought to the limelight the urgent need for the top authorities to look for lasting solutions to land-related issues, which continues to cause division amongst families all over the country.
From the Nous division, we come back right here in the city of Douala. 2 days after the inferno that occurred at the Beltus neighborhood in Douala 3 subdivision, the effects of the devastating fire is still being felt. The smoke from the building is still a threat to the health of the population. However, safety experts are urging the government to respect urban construction norms by implementing strict measures against those who violate the rules. Ese Luciliengu has more.
48 hours after the devastating fire, the site is filled with ravaged fuel containers and materials. Although the inferno was extinguished hours later, smoke can still be seen rising from the building, leaving the population in fear and posing a health risk to patients in a nearby hospital.
For the future, as a public problem, we don't know if the population can be touched if there is a new eruption in that company. But for our patients, we are sure that everything is going well. They are already back in their rooms.
The director of the Cité Dog Party Protestant Hospital states that measures are in course.
Our regulation is saying that we need to care about the risk due to the factory.
According to a fire safety expert, constructing houses or a filling station in a residential area is risky.
The first is all about fire. The second is about pollution. And the third is about professional risk, accident.
He emphasizes the urgent need for comprehensive safety measures and urban planning.
Minister of Water and Energy for the fuel station, regulation for urbanization. Another minister, Minister of Environment for the pollution. They were supposed to have, let's say, to make studies and be able to say, sir, Mr. I don't know, you don't need, you can stay there.
Addressing these risks through regulations is essential to protect lives and property.
There are regulations put in place, but they just need to focus on control and follow up.
The fire incident on Saturday, April 19, left one person dead and several others severely injured.
And now to education. The National Union of Higher Education Teachers of Cameroon, SINES, has issued a statement denouncing an attempt to associate the university community with partisan support for President Paul Bia's candidacy in the upcoming October 2025 presidential elections in Cameroon. Responding to a motion of support published on March 14, 2025, SINES denouncing attempts to associate the university community with partisan politics. Femi Armstrong Sanda is a man on that story.
This response comes after the publication of an article titled Paul Bia's Candidacy, the Republican Call from Academics and Civil Society on March 14, 2025. According to the National Union of Higher Education Teachers of Cameroon, known in its French acronym SINES, the appeal in question, initiated by a minority of individuals with respectable academic qualifications, does not reflect the collective position of teachers, researchers and students of Cameroon. The union emphasizes that this initiative amounts to a political exploitation of educational institutions which is incompatible with the fundamental missions of the university. SINES firmly denounces any attempts to involve all higher education teachers and the university community in partisan support for President Paul Biya, who has been the head of state in Cameroon since 1982. The union believes that this initiative undermines academic ethics and professional conduct, floats the neutrality of academic institutions, and distorts the reality of intellectual pluralism in Cameroon. In one of the statements, SINES notes that far from being a Republican movement or committed to a common spirit, this initiative amounts to a political exploitation of educational institutions incompatible with the fundamental missions of the university. The union's position highlights the importance of maintaining academic neutrality and respecting the diversity of opinions within the academic community in Cameroon.
La Nouvelle Expression media conglomerates journalists and technicians make history again, winning 8 new awards for their outstanding work. Awardees such as Smart Jikan Gabriel, Dallas Chana, Julian Bedbisai, Serge Alain Otu, and Shalamel Mbachu were recently recognized for their outstanding performance. Seri Chakutio tells us more.
8 new prizes, once again won by journalists and technicians of La Nouvelle Expression media conglomerate. Serge Alain Otu, Julien Bert Bissay and Charles Amel won respectively Best Male Debate Moderator, Best Female TV News Presenter, coupled with Best Journalist and Best TV Chronicler at the 8th edition of the Mediatude Awards, due to their hard work and their desire to always satisfy their audience through their different programs. I am very happy to receive this award for Best News Presenter and Favorite Journalist at the Mediatude Awards.
Et le prix aussi de journaliste préféré 2024, là c'est pour la première fois. Je voudrais remercier
I would like to thank the entire production team who helps me daily, and thank the top management for their trust, and I also thank all those who voted for me.
Toute l'équipe qui m'accompagne tous les soirs, les techniciens, les cadreurs, les monteurs, le service informatique. Vraiment les gars, vous êtes
Awarded since 2017, the Mediatude Awards aims to select media organs and media personalities that have made significant contributions to meeting consumer needs.
Satisfait, content, et ça me donne encore envie d'aller pour la suite, de préparer l'édition 9.
Some weeks before, Dallas Chana was given the prize of Best Cameraman of 2024 at the Mirror Tech Awards.
Sentiment de joie.
Feeling of recognition, feeling of an accomplishment. Since I joined Equinoxe, I have always had a dream to always give the best of myself.
Depuis 2011 que je suis entré à Equinoxe, j'ai toujours eu un rêve, c'est de toujours me donner à fond tout ce que je fais.
This award is not just for me, but for all the journalists and technicians who support me in my daily activities.
Nous travaillons ensemble pour donner un résultat meilleur. C'est l'occasion pour moi de vous dire grandement merci.
I thank the top management of Equinoxe Television, and I thank all those who voted for me.
Merci pour la confiance qu'ils me donnent. Ça fait 14 ans d'aventure et ça dure.
It's more pressure, and it's a call to hard work. You have to be a role model and continue to make people want to watch us.
Continuez à donner l'envie aux gens de nous écouter.
Unlike him, Smart Jikan Gabriel, known as Ambassador, got the prize of the Best TV Pidgin News Presenter at the VAMEC International Icon Award. This award acknowledges his outstanding resourcefulness in Pidgin TV news broadcasts.
Alright, country, all them they join for same Tori, Iwaka fine, as one take Siam, country people them. If Papa God agree, we go meet up 8 o'clock Tuesday.
These awards shows La Nouvelle Expression's desire and effort to always meet consumers' needs.
Congratulations to all the awardees. That's it for this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Tonight on Talking Point, we'll be looking at the passing away of Pope Francis at the age of 88. And my guest tonight is Reverend Father Beltus ASANJI. He's the Parish Priest of Our Lady of Mercy Parish in Manda, Nkwen. Good evening, Father. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening, televiewers of Equinoxe Television. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to participate in the program. Good evening to you there in the studio.
Father, how is the Catholic community in your parish responding to the news of Pope Francis' passing, especially after his recent Easter Sunday Mass, which had given many hope for his recovery?
Yes, the parish community is grieving for the passing away of Pope Francis. I think that his last public appearance was yesterday at the St. Peter's Square to greet the Christians, Easter greetings, and this gave a lot of assurance and hope for the recovery of the Supreme Pontiff. And given that prayers have been requested by bishops across the world to their Christians to pray for the quick recovery of the Supreme Pontiff, the Christians were quite shocked that to hear that the Supreme Pontiff entered into eternity this morning. And of course, it is also a moment of consolation for the Christians, given that we are just from celebrating Easter, and they were quite excited that such a holy person could die on an Easter Monday.
What significance does Pope Francis' death hold for the Catholic Church at this moment?
One of the significance of the passing into glory of Pope Francis in the life of the Church is that the Church is going to experience a moment of transition, the handing on the deposit of faith from one pontiff to another. That is that apostolic line from Peter right up to Pope Francis is unbroken, and once again the Church of this era is going to experience that particular transition. Many people are not aware of how this normally takes place in the Catholic Church. It's another opportunity for them to experience that particular transition. It is also a moment, an invitation to all the Christians of the Church to pray for the Church, to pray for another universal pastor, to pray for a cardinal who is going to be elected as the new Supreme Pontiff. And so I think while we experience a transitional moment in the life of the Catholic Church, it is a moment that the whole Catholic world are invited to pray very strongly for the body of Christ, that is the Roman Catholic Church.
In what ways can the faithful honor the memory of Pope Francis and continue his work in the world?
One of the major ways through which Christians can continue the legacy or the teachings of Pope Francis is by copying his example, because he taught by example. His life of simplicity, having special love for the poor and those who are living in the margins of the society. I think that what Pope Francis has accomplished within the shortest period of his pontificate, by extending his hand and teaching all the priests to have the smell of the sheep, which means that a good pastor is he who goes after the sheep, not the other way around. And Pope Francis has really broken serious grounds in going out to get the smell of the sheep. And I think that the Church of today should copy from that particular example. I think Pope Francis too is living after the life of St. Francis of Assisi, whose charism was initially for the poor and the marginalized, and Pope Francis has extended this particular ministry, and he has extended a helping hand or a hand of fellowship to those who have been abandoned. And I think that particular message he preached through his life is a kind of legacy he's leaving for the Church. And I think that the Church, especially the pastors of the Church of today, should take up that particular legacy that Pope Francis left in the life of the Church.
What are some key teachings or initiatives of Pope Francis that you believe will have lasting impact on the Catholic Church?
One of the key teachings of Pope Francis is about mercy, the mercy of God. The mercy of God, that God is so merciful, God is so kind. And as I highlighted above, loving the poor and the marginalized, Pope Francis emphasized the mercy of God and loving the poor and marginalized. And he showed that by his way of life, by his example, by his life of simplicity. The way he relates with the Christians is an eloquent testimony that this was a Supreme Pontiff who was down to earth. His life of simplicity and humility. We could not ignore the fact that he has struggled to reconcile belligerent forces, to warring countries, to the point of going down on his knees, kneeling down, to kiss the feet of leaders so that forgiveness and mercy should reign. I think that it is an example to emulate. He has even entered mosque and removed his shoes as a sign of humility. I think Pope Francis taught the world, the whole world, not only the Catholic Church, but the entire world, what it means to be humble.
How will the College of Cardinals proceed with election of a new pope, and what are the key considerations for the next conclave?
It's a very critical moment, especially for the cardinals, because many preparations are underway already. They are having meetings on how the funeral of the Pope is going to look like, and this funeral is should be organized within 6 days. Within 6 days, after which his corpse will be laid in state. Already, the Cameligo already announced the passing into glory of Pope Francis, and the papal apartments have been sealed, and his study has been sealed. And the Camelingo, in the meantime, is the one acting like an administrator to take certain measures as far as the Vatican is concerned. And the church now is experiencing what we call a sede vacante. That means the Holy Father's seat is vacant. And so immediately after the funeral, the cardinals are to go into what is called a conclave, and that conclave is to elect the new pope. And that conclave unfolds with various modalities. For example, who is eligible to be elected as pope? The cardinal must not be more than 80 years, and the election takes place in the Sistine Chapel. And when two things happen, when you see a black smoke, it means that the cardinals have not yet elected a pope. When we see a white smoke, it means that the Universal Church, they have a new pope. It's going to be a very difficult and spiritual moment in the life of the church, especially given the times, because the church is facing serious challenges, which means that the new Supreme Pontiff has a lot to do as far as bringing the world together is concerned. We have so many things, wars around the world in Africa and in Europe and so on and so forth. So they take into considerations all of these before the election of the new pope. And worthy of note is the fact that immediately after the passing into glory of the new pope, his fisherman's ring is destroyed, because the ring serves as the official seal in the Vatican City. It is destroyed until when a new Supreme Pontiff will be elected. It is the Catholic world is mourning, the Catholic Church is mourning. This is an invitation to all Catholic Christians around the world to pray for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis and the election of a new Supreme Pontiff.
Thank you so much, Father Beltus ASANJI, for accepting my invitation on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure participating in this program over Equinoxe Television, and good night.
Father Beltus ASANJI, Parish Priest of Our Lady of Mercy Parish, Manda, Nkwen, Bamenda. Thank you so much for your time. And that's what will put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always choosing us. Stay in the company of the program Equinoxe Tour with Search Alert Auto that comes at exactly 7 p.m. Have a wonderful evening in the company of more programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.